I'm Nana Aquare. It's time now for the first great British debate of this hour. And I'm asking, is Sir Keir Starmer right to continue supporting Ukraine? Now, the Prime Minister is set to announce a new package of support for the war-torn country, despite Donald Trump piling pressure on Kyiv to back down and accept a peace deal with Russia. Now, the split seems to be widening between the US and Europe. So, for the great British debate this hour, I'm asking, is Sir Keir Starmer right to continue supporting Ukraine? Now, I would liken the support to, you know, when you've got a guy who sort of likes you, doesn't like you, will never marry you, but just gives you just enough affection for you to carry on seeing them. This is the kind of thing we've been doing, supplying Ukraine with arms, knowing full well that we're not supplying them enough to win. So is it just time to say, hey, look, let's stop this? Well, joining me now is broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy and also former Labour advisor Matthew Torbit. I'm going to start with you, Matthew Torbit. Yes. So what do you think of this? Where are your thoughts on this?
I think on the question of whether Keir should continue to support Ukraine, I'm not aware of another alternative at the moment. Does he therefore do what Trump appears to be doing and almost supporting Russia? Does he sit on the fence and decide to pull out when the rest of our allies are continuing to support as it stands? I think we have to support them. For how much longer, I don't know. There appears to be a deal willing to be done. What that deal looks like, we'll have to wait and see. And I think it has to be fair to Ukraine because ultimately they are a sovereign state that has been invaded. And ultimately we should stand against things like dictatorships and those that aren't elected and think they can just drive into countries willy-nilly and take what they want. So I think he should, yes.
Trump has called him a dictator.
Yes.
Vladimir Zelensky a dictator. And so if we should stand against dictatorships, and Trump did point out that they haven't had elections, although I don't know how you do that in a war zone. But, you know, he is in charge and he has been for quite some time.
Yeah, listen, the reason why the natural world order has continued in the way it has is because the US has stood against dictatorships. Now, if they're going to switch on that, it will all fall apart because as a set of EU nations, we don't have enough in NATO to stand against this sort of stuff without America. I think it concerns me, Trump wanting £500 billion worth of minerals that, you know, for all intents and purposes can be used very well in lithium batteries. And we all know there's a man helping him in the White House that would benefit from a load of lithium batteries. So pardon my cynicism for Donald Trump's reasons for wanting to end the war and what he can get out of it. I just think, to use an analogy similar to yours, he's not offering any assurances. That's the equivalent of you being mugged outside when we get out of here, me going, I'll help you, Nana. I'm going to take that 20 quid out your purse, though, and they might run off with the phone anyway. There's no assurances regardless. It's a silly way to be doing things.
Do you think you kind of sort of... I mean, I'm listening and I'm thinking, well, it's kind of... I mean, what would you call Keir Starmer's government then? Do you not think he's a bit of a dictator? In fact, that he's carrying out a load of stuff. Because you pointed it out and you said the world order would fall apart with dictatorships. I mean, Lizzie Cundy.
Well, I would say that I have said that I think Keir Starmer is like a dictator. He stopped the local elections, didn't he? When you stop your vote, what is that? It's not democratic, is it? For me, look, we have supported Ukraine. We've given them £12.8 billion. But as Donald Trump said, there's been so much death. I mean, it's frightening. This is the sort of unwinnable war. So we have to have a peace deal. My friends that are from Ukraine want this peace deal to happen because of the bloodshed. It's horrific. And it's just a shame that Starmer can't put his own people first rather than sort of say he's going to send deleted troops. You know, we haven't got an army to send to Ukraine.
It's laughable, isn't it?
We've got 72,000 in the army. 10,000 of those aren't fit to serve. It wouldn't even fill Wembley Stadium. It's shocking. And Keir Starmer, really, I think he's going to be shaking like a bartender making a martini on that plane over to Washington. And, it would just make me laugh if Nigel Farage opens the door of the White House. But this war has got to end because no one's going to win this. We need a peace deal. And if Trump does it and he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, whatever way, surely the only way is to get peace. And if whatever way he does it is a good thing.
What's wrong with him, though, taking the cloak off and saying, actually, I'll take your rare earth minerals and this and that, and because that is really, in my view, what this is ultimately about, isn't it? That's what I think. And he's just literally taken apart everything else and just said, OK, I'll tell you what, I'll take some of this and some of that. And isn't that what they're really fighting for underneath this?
I mean, we've seen similar in the Middle East with things like oil, potentially. I think part of it also the egotist that he is, he's desperate to have a Nobel Peace Prize for anything, anywhere. So to say that has got peace in Russia and Ukraine would be something to say. However, what sort of peace is it? Will it be a meaningful and lasting peace? The Danish Secret Services said if they have intelligence that if the Russians spot a weakness in NATO, which it may well be America at the moment, within 5 years they will pronounce war again on another EU country. So before you know it, we have tanks driving through Kyiv, ending up in Belarus, ending up in Poland, and we don't know how that will end. So...
Oh, well, that's just so catastrophic, isn't it? You're catastrophising.
Oh, but don't you think we have to thank Trump because it was a wake-up call to everyone in Europe saying, you know, your defence is depleted. You need to, you know, this is urgent. You need to do something. Stop piggybacking on us. You know, I think what he said was truthful and it gave everyone a shock. And look at our army. As I said, it's pathetic.
I agree, and there's two things on that. The reason the army's in the state it is the cuts that have come over the last 14 years. We now have a smaller army since the Napoleonic era. It's just laughable. On the other side of that, armed warfare, you know, as much as we have nuclear weapons, it's more going to be biochemical weapons, it's going to be cyber security, and it's not quite the same bullets and bombs that what we would have had in the 1940s. With regards to thanking Trump, I wouldn't go as far as that. I would. The other argument I would add to that, though, is if you want to claim you're the global superpower, unfortunately, you're going to be the one leading the way in that instance. If it's not going to be China, it's going to be you, and therefore, what chance has anybody else got than be on your coattails because you're the one leading the way? Are we supposed to be ahead of America at this point?
Yeah, but if you want to prevent war, you really have to spend in your defence. You know, if you want peace,
I agree.
You have to prepare as if war is going to happen, and we haven't done that. We've rested on our laurels, and this Trump has given everyone a wake-up call, and it's frightening times. But I think Keir Starmer is doing the wrong thing. He needs to be friends with Trump. All they have done in the past is slate him. They've done terrible remarks about him, from racist. I mean, you know, David Lammy, what he said was absolutely abhorrent, and you know, now we've got to try and make a deal with Trump to make this work out.
I think he will. I think he knows it's in the country's interest to go over there. And I think the reason for the troops comment, actually, I think is actually more of a cynical political game, because he knows he's visiting, whereas it was last week.
Which comment specifically? Just
to say that we will put 30,000 troops on the ground as part of a peacekeeping deal. We're not going to war, but we will have them on the border to ensure there is a lasting peace. Now, we haven't really got 30,000 troops to spare and still have an army left. We haven't really got an army. However, I think it's him showing to Trump, look, we will do our bit.
Well,
I'm coming out.
Who's falling for that, though? You've seen that can't be true. We've all seen it can't be true. We know the state of our own armed forces. For him to say 30,000 troops, I don't know what he's thinking that we can't see. It's quite patronising, really.
It is so patronising. I think Keir Starmer thinks, oh, this is my Falkland Islands moment. I'm going to be the hero. He hasn't got an army. I mean, come on. It's pathetic to say that. And I don't think Trump takes Keir Starmer or Macron at all seriously. Look at our own borders. They can't even stop the boats. We've given France half a billion, and they've done absolutely nothing. Look, more are coming over. You know, keep saying smash the gangs. What's happened to that? He can't smash the ice off his windscreen
smash the gangs
on
is
his car.
Platitudes, and you know, I don't see the reason for why we can't process people offshore. It doesn't have to be as far-flung as Rwanda, but Boris Johnson in 2021 had his own opportunity when the French Interior Minister said, look, we need a safe and legal route. This isn't good for either of our countries. Seeing people die in the Channel, it's harming our electoral chances. It'll certainly harm yours. And they said, we will process them at Calais. And Boris Johnson said no. He fell out with Macron that week and decided to be the only member of the European countries that attended to not turn up. So we've had opportunities to solve this, and I think we could. And I don't know if smashing the gangs is really the right way forward. I think you can process people digitally, offshore, and therefore you know who these people are, if they're coming and if they're genuine, rather than people dying in the Channel unnecessarily and also flinging the documents in the Channel on the way across.
But Matthew, what would you say? We keep giving money to the Ukraine. It's not, you know, no one is winning this war. Just more lives are lost and more money spent. It's just a waste
What I would say,
of blood and treasure, and it has to stop.
No, I agree. And listen, I'm no warmonger. I don't want to see any war anywhere. However, if we hadn't have helped Ukraine stand up to them in what is probably an unwinnable war as far as pushing them further and further back, they'd have taken over the whole of that country, and that is totally unacceptable, and we should always stand with allies against any behaviour like that, and I would hope others would do it for us if we were ever so unfortunate.
Well, it's not, you know, there's more to it than that, obviously, because the Budapest Memorandum, which was signed by the UK and Russia as well, to protect Ukraine should they get rid of their nuclear arms, which then Ukraine got rid of and believed that we would support them. So we have, you know, an actual agreement, a treaty where we will help them at times of war. So that's probably the main reason why we should be doing it. But a lesson to those out there, well, those who think you should get rid of nuclear weapons, have a think about it, because it doesn't really make any sense, does it?